we were vacationing in Thailand, and that morning we were at the beach when the wave struck. It was strange to get to the beach that morning and don't see any water. But because we weren't from there, we didn't know this was not just a low tide. And fish flopping everywhere should have been a sign that the water receded too fast, right? But we just didn't know. We were just so ignorant, as a lot of people were, of the signs. So we just stayed there at the beach, and the water came, and it's not like in the movies. It's not like, it didn't look like this huge thing. It looked like a regular wave, and then eventually just got too close, and we started running, but you can't outrun a tsunami. I think the speed was about 500 miles per hour, according to what I've read. So you can't outrun something like that, and eventually we're all swept away. Yeah, it didn't look scary until it was too late, and then you're just running for your life, so you don't even have time to think or to be afraid, because you just enter this like instinct mode of survival. So you're not even, for the most part, I wasn't even afraid, and I didn't know what was happening. I just knew that I had to run. And then once I was underwater, I knew I had to swim. There was like no complex thoughts or anything like that. And I'm actually glad it was that way, because I don't know if I would have survived if I had time to think and to feel afraid or sad, because as I was running, I kept glancing back. And as I glanced back, there's like fewer and fewer people. And like my own parents, like one by one, they're just gone. And then there's nothing. And I'm just so glad that in that moment, I didn't feel anything. I just got more focused in running. Because if I think about that a lot, because if I did have time to feel things, I probably would have frozen and died, like frozen in fear. Once you're safe in the mountains, that's where you start processing things. And in Khao Lak, which we did have, it was a beach, right? The beach area, a main road in the mountains. So we had somewhere to run to, which I've heard that in Kauai you don't have that, which is scary to think about. That had this strength, this force pulling me very abruptly down every time I reached the surface. And it took all my strength, like absolute strength, like everything I had just to keep my head afloat. It was, my only focus was just be on surface. Eventually the water led me to a place where there were many trees, and it seemed to be slowing down, and I was able to hold on to this cable between two trees. And I stayed there until the water started receding, and I thought it would be easier to get out of where I was as the water started receding, but it actually got harder because all those objects, they compacted together and they got heavier and harder to move around. So I was stuck for a while, but people started showing up. And so I started screaming and waving my arms for someone to just pick me up, because I need someone to just from above to get me out of this hole that I'm in now. But it was a very strange feeling that these people were so close to me and they couldn't see me or hear me, like a horror movie or like a nightmare. They just can't see me or hear me. But you know, instinct mode doesn't let you dwell too much on what's not working. Eventually there's this one man, and he's far away, but he spots me. But he tells me to wait because he's going further towards the beach to help someone else. And then on the way back, he's going to pick me up. And he's just gesticulating, and somehow I understand all of it. This other man just approaches me, and he kind of points towards a path and he told me to go there. And so I did, and it led to the main road. And then just across the main road, the mountains. And once I saw the people right at the base of the mountain, that's when I realized, oh, that's right, high ground. That's where I'm supposed to go, high ground. Because I wasn't thinking, you know. And then, I go up in the mountains and I climb as high as I can go until I feel safe. I didn't feel safe right at the base. I wanted to go as high as I could, and that's what I do. And once things at the beach look really, really small, that's when I finally feel safe and rest and start processing what happened, looking at my family for 3 months, because they didn't find my parents' bodies for 3 months. For 3 months, they held out hope that they would still be alive or in a hospital somewhere, but they weren't. They had passed away, and the pain it just felt like it was so much worse because they held out what I call false hope. I'm just very happy, very blessed to be alive. You shouldn't live in fear, but if you live in an area that is prone to natural disasters and you're not preparing for them, that seems foolish to me. You ought to prepare. There's this phrase, expect the best, but prepare for the worst.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it just seems strange that one would not prepare for the worst. Like have water at home, have emergency food, things that won't perish. Just basic things like that, and have a plan. Like if something happens, where are you going to go? And my husband and I have this. Like if something happens, we know we have actually many plans of where to go, and here in Washington or a different state. Like, but we don't. It's not something we obsess about and we live fearful of. It's just like in an emergency, this is the plan. And that's it.